Well, hello everyone, welcome back to Adrian's Digital Basement 2. On today's video, I think we have another test and try episode. What we're going to be looking at is this. It's an Apple Macintosh, try to block my face so it focuses. It's a Centris 610, also known as the Quadra 610. This machine, well, best of my understanding, it's a 68040 computer. It was originally released as the Centris 610 here, but then Apple decided to rename the machine the Quadra 610 without changing anything else, I think to more line up with their existing naming scheme. This particular computer was released around 1993 and it has a 68040 at I think 20 megahertz, so it's a decently fast 68,000 Macintosh. And it does have, you know, a pretty nice pizza box form factor, which is kind of cool. The later machines, or I don't know, maybe optionally there was a CD-ROM drive in the middle here. This one does not have it. If we turn around to the back, we have a power supply that has a power output because I think it switches your monitor off and on. A pretty standard set of ports, although it has no floppy drive connector. So it has SCSI, it has a monitor port, has built-in Ethernet, but you need an AUI adapter, a little mini AUI adapter. I have one of those floating around somewhere. We have printer and modem, 2 ADB ports, and a sound in and out. Now the reason I'm going to work on this computer, and it's kind of heavy, it's why I'm struggling a little bit, is there's a very specific card that works in this. And if you're familiar with this line of Macs or this particular generation, you know what I'm talking about. I want to be taking a look at that maybe in a future video. So in this video, I want to see if this computer works. I have no idea. It's never been turned on or whatever. Almost certainly needs a recap because it's right in that era where all the Macintosh capacitors, surface mount caps are leaking on the boards. So hopefully this thing works and we can recap it real quick and that's that. Then I can use this for a future project like I talked about. Otherwise, if this thing is highly broken, then maybe a repair video. You know, this won't be that. This will just be the quick test and try. Maybe a repair video on the main channel. I think that's how it kind of works with my test and try videos. Anyways, all right, let's get this thing open and take a look inside. All right, here it is, a sea of beige. And yeah, a lot of yellowing, and there was obviously a monitor sitting on the top here, so the yellowing is on the sides here and on the front panel as well. Now, one thing about these, and I don't know if this is in the bad period, but some of the Macs that were like in the 90s have the most brittle plastic that I have ever experienced. At this point, you just look at it wrong and the plastic just disintegrates into a million pieces. So unfortunately, these things right here are the clasps that hold the case on, and you got to bend them up to move this thing. And there we go, pop that one off. Pop this one off, there we go. I don't want to break anything. And we tilt it up, and then we pull forward a little bit, and then the case comes off. I put the case cover off to the side in a very safe place. I don't want it to go get smashed or something. All right, so looking inside here, what do we got? We have a hard drive of some kind, 250 megabyte SCSI drive. We have room for the aforementioned Apple CD-ROM drive, which has a SCSI connector right here, and even has a little power connector just sitting there waiting. Such easy expandability, although you need to have the proprietary sled to mount a drive. So I have some SCSI CD-ROM drives, but I can't put one in here. Of course, the bigger problem is that front panel on the plastic cover, on the top cover, needs to have the version with the CD-ROM drive. I'm not too concerned about that, to be honest. If anything, I'll just put in a SCSI emulator here or something. I mean, whatever, right? Well, here's the motherboard. We have a power supply, and we do have the floppy drive, a 1.44 megabyte variant. Let's zoom down here onto the motherboard, and let's see what we can see. It is dusty. Let's get the SCSI cable out of the way so we can get a better look. All right, so there's the 20 megahertz 68040. It's a 68LC040 RC20. There are two versions of this processor. There's the EC and the LC. I'm quite sure that this is the full version, the LC. And the difference with the EC variant is that it lacks the internal math coprocessor. And I think this one has it in there. If not, that's okay. I think I have another one of these floating around, the one with the math coprocessor. As far as making this faster, according to Wikipedia, it can run at 25 megahertz, but I am sure that that is a different version of the motherboard or whatever. Probably needs a different crystal oscillator, which looking around, I don't immediately see an oscillator other than this small one over here, and I can't quite read the amount of, or the speed of this one. Now, one thing which we can tell right away, there is a cap and it has leaked. Doesn't look terrible. I mean, it's very crusty right there, but hopefully that cleans up. And here are some more, and they have leaked as well. Look, there's some corrosion there, a bunch of schmutz around there. Doesn't look so great. This cap over here is leaked, and it doesn't look super hot either. That's 47 microfarad, 47, 47. In fact, all of the surface mount caps that have leaked, like this one as well, 47, 47, these are all 47s. It seems like Apple, for whatever reason, used tantalums for the other values. There's a tantalum there and there. And over here, that's a tantalum right there, that black capacitor. So, I don't know. Is that normal? I don't know. That is kind of frustrating because if they'd used tantalums everywhere, we wouldn't have this leakage problem. These tantalums have a failure mode where they short, which isn't wonderful because that, keeps your computer from working, but it doesn't leak and like put this electrolyte all over the place and cause this corrosion on here. So what that really means is that absolutely positively, this thing needs to be recapped. Now the question is this power supply working? I don't know much about these computers. I've never worked on one of these before, so I don't know if these leak or have leaky caps in them or not. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do, because this era of Apple computers just is super duper leaky. I mean, it's not just Apple. Kind of everything in the 90s started to suck. Okay, I just plugged it in and it turned itself on and it chimed. Great sign. Where's the power switch? On the front here. So I was just plugging it in to demonstrate if this powered up. It did. So that's a great sign. That means that this thing is working, even with this crust on here. So I need to get this motherboard out, give it a good wash. I think there's a screw under this little post here. There we go. That's what kind of holds it in. It's very typical for Apple at this time. Let's try to get this power connector off here. There we go. So anyways, as I was saying, I need to get this thing out of here, and then I need to pull those caps off and give this board a wash. We're going to get this battery out of here as well. I'll do that in a second once this is out. We're going to give this thing a wash, and hopefully I can find some caps to put on here, and then I can get this thing recapped, and maybe it'll work for a long time. Like, it'll be a nice, reliable motherboard. Okay, to get this out, typically, let's see. Okay, there's a screw there. Gotta take that out as well. Yeah, typically with these motherboards, when the screws are removed, they slide forward, like this one does, and then you can usually tilt this out. I don't think I'm going to need to take all this stuff out. Oh, it looks like the hard drive will need to come out though. Let's see, can I get this out? It's on a sled without breaking it. Okay, let's see, how does this work? Do I pop this metal cover off the front like that and then push the hard drive out the front? Yes, I think that's how it goes. I think you push down this tab on the front. There we go. And then this slides out. I don't need to take it all the way. I just need to get it out enough that I can lift the motherboard up. Ah, there's a cable here I didn't see, probably for the power LED. And there it is. There is the Quadra 610/Centris 610 motherboard in all of its dusty capacitor leaking glory. Let's get this battery holder off of here so we can get this battery out. Don't need that anymore. We'll recycle that. Pop that back on for now. What I'm going to do really quickly is just grab a photo. Oops, that was 2 photos. What that allows me to do is for the capacitors, I can see the polarity, I can see the position of everything, plus the value. And now it is time to remove the capacitors. So trigger warning, I use the twist method to get these types of caps off the board. They have all leaked, they're all corroded. Desoldering these is a recipe for damaging your board, ripping those pads right off. Twist method, on the other hand, recommended by Mr. Carlson of Mr. Carlson's lab, works really well. I use it all the time. I have done, I don't know how many recaps of my own things, and I've never damaged anything. What I have learned over the years, and sorry I'm on my soapbox here a little bit, is that I have tried to remove caps other ways by using desoldering. I even have those hot tweezers. That ends up damaging the pads. This method does not, at least for me. I'm sure there will still be lots of comments of people cringing and unsubscribing and all those things. You know, if that's what you want to do, feel free. But here we go. I grab it, I push down, and I twist. And you do that until the cap comes off the board. You don't pull up, you push down, and then the cap just comes free like that. Just so everyone can see what that looks like under there, the legs from the cap are still on the board. They're still attached. They are gone from this leaky, corroded, horrible thing. This, we throw that over there, and we move on to the next one. So you grab, push down, and twist. I am pushing down while twisting. When they're corroded, like this one, they usually start to just fall off, just like that. And it leaves the little plastic tray behind, which we just pick up and toss aside. You rinse and repeat for all of the surface mount caps you're going to be removing from the board. Just like that. Very, very easy. No fuss, no muss. And over here, same thing, same 47, same leaky piece of junk. Sometimes they're so corroded they basically fall off the board on their own, like that one almost did. Now this did leave a little leg behind there, but if you just move it back and forth, even with your finger, it just snaps right off. Oops, that went flying. And there it is. No damaged pads. Moving on, here we go. Another one of these blasted leaky things. Squeeze, push down, and twist. Oh, there it goes. It left its little leg behind. You just wiggle it back and forth. It pops it right off. Here we go again. I'm going to show all of these, just in case anyone's like, oh, he ripped a trace or whatever. Well, you'll see that that's not going to be the case. I mean, it's possible, I suppose. All right, so you need to get rid of that. All right, that cap right there was actively leaking. You can see it's kind of wet there. You know, who knows, just turning it on might have caused it to leak a little bit because I did power it up there, right? So we'll do the next one here. Popped right off. Ugh, it looks bad under there. Nice and bad. So after this removal process, what I'm going to do is take this board upstairs and give it a thorough washing, because I want to get all this corrosive electrolyte garbage off there. Okay, another leg left behind. Oh, it's leaky. It's gross. It stinks. So there we go. So far, so good. You can kind of see. Perfect. We are in good shape so far. We have, I think, 2 more caps to go. I'm just pushing all the junk out of the way. There's the next one. I'm going to turn the board so I can get proper leverage. I am right-handed. Push down. Oh, that just popped right off. Left its little leggy behind. It is gone. Oh boy, you couldn't even see that, what I was just doing. Okay, well that's what I just did. Sorry about that. And we got one more down here by the processor. All right, grab, push down, twist. That one came off pretty easily. That one didn't even, no, I was gonna say that didn't look like it was leaking, but oh yes, no, it leaked. You could see it blah, all around right there. So there we go. All those caps are removed. Not a single pad lifted. And I'm picking up the mess here that we just took off. This is what just came off. And look how quick that was. That process was fast, real time there. Look at this. What a freaking leaky mess. Goodbye, you damn things. All right, I'm gonna take this upstairs. Maybe I'll just remove these memory modules for extra good cleaning in there. That one looks okay. What's the difference here? These are for video. Oh, and there's, you know, I wonder if I have some of those around. These sockets are slightly different. Oh, you know what happened once? I'll just tell a little bit of a story here before we go wash this. I was recapping a board and a blob of hot solder landed right inside one of these SIM sockets, and it like melted down into the socket, and it was impossible to fix. And it unfortunately rendered the computer inoperative. And these ones, it was a Macintosh, I forgot which one it was. And basically that board became a scrap board. I'm not sure it even worked, to be honest, because when I powered it up recapping, it didn't actually work. Well, once the solder blob like melted down into the socket, well, that was that. And yeah, unfortunately that board, like I said, became a scrap board because these are weird. As you notice, these are 72 pin, these are not. They are 68 pin. So yeah, custom sim size, and that's for video RAM for Apples. Anyways, this board is ready for a good washing. I'm not going to take the CPU out. Yeah, okay, maybe I will. Let's take it out. I don't normally take it out, but I'm going to do it right now. No, there's not enough room for that. Let's see if I use my little Intel lifter. Does that work on this? This chip has been pushed into the socket there doesn't appear to be any room. No, I can't get that in. Hey, this is rude. Okay, there we go. It's lifting. You just have to be super gentle because you do not want to crack the ceramic. So you just have to just do it little by little. No, can't do it there. This is the socket there for that special card I was talking about in the intro. Anyways, just little by little, and then the chip should come out. In fact, does this work now? Oh yeah, that works. Look at that. Intel tool to the rescue. I think the pin spacing is the same as like a 486, which is what that tool is for. All right, there it is, 68040. And when it was in there, the notch is right there. Let's zoom in. So there's a little white paint there, and there's a little mark on the chip as well. Cool. All right, now I'm gonna go upstairs and I'm gonna give this thing a full wash. And we're back. There is the board, all spick and span, rub-a-dub-dub. I washed it with soap and water like I always do upstairs, and then I blew it off with air, and yeah, it's looking pretty good. Definitely some leftover corrosion crust though. Look at this area right here. Yeah, not wonderful there. That cap really did a number right on that one spot. Strangely enough, but some of the other caps, like this one here, didn't really cause too much mess, but look right there. That's some leftover cap crust as well. Now, I don't fully understand the chemistry behind all of this, but I think this is like a salt or something. I think that's what this is called, this residual junk. And even if I spray some of this 99% isopropyl on there in the affected area, and I scrape it, like I physically scrape it, it doesn't really come clean. So if you know what to do to kind of clean this stuff better, let me know. I'll be very curious. But like I said, the IPA doesn't really seem to have an effect, and nor does the soap and water. Put a little bit on the RAM chips there. And I'm just gonna physically scrape. Maybe I can loosen a little bit of it. And let's check out this area here, which looks especially salty. Yeah, salty, like people are gonna be about my cap twisting that I did. Lots of salty comments, I'm sure about that. Looks a little salty over here as well. So let's do the old scrapey scrape as well. I mean, I don't know, this is fruitless, I think, what I'm doing here. But who knows, makes me feel better, I guess. And then over here by this large TI chip, not only are things a little salty on the board there around the pads. I'm using the word salt, like I don't really know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying that. But these pins here too are quite crusty. But I want to be gentle. You don't want to like bend any of these because they are very, very close together. So I'm just gently scraping. That's it. No editing. We're just this is a second channel video. This is what you kind of get here. All right. Oh boy, over here, this looks crustomatic as well. I did scrape the top of that part there. There's some green stuff on there. I got rid of that with my fingernail while I was washing upstairs. Okay, I think this is good enough. Whatever. The system worked. What we need to do now, we need to remove the little residual leg bits that are on here, like right here. And what we're gonna do for that, let's see, what do you need to do this? I'm gonna try to make a somewhat decent instructional video. We're gonna use some Super Wick. That's for removing the crusty old solder, or solder, as some people say. We're gonna grab the soldering iron here. I'm just gonna heat this up to 350C. I need to find my roll of fresh solder. Here it is. This is stuff I use. It's like a tin lead combo. Oh, and then we're gonna need some flux, which I have a little bottle of it here. Here it is. Rosin flux is what I use. It's kind of a messy stuff, but I really like what it does. All right, so what we need to do is we need to remove these little like leftover legs that are on here. And usually the way I do that, let's see, first of all, there's wet IPA on there, so I'm just gonna dab that up so it's dry. All right, there we go. So I'm just gonna drop a little bit of this flux on there, just enough to kind of wet things. Unfortunately, you know what? I'm gonna use a little fresh solder as well. That can help. Okay, and what we need to do is just sort of scrape it, just gently, and we're actually getting that leg that was left behind on there off. I think we are, at least. Ooh, see all that black schmutz? Okay, that one's clean, the one that's towards the back of the machine. But the one on the front, there we go. Can you see that it is on the tip there? It's just on the tip of my iron, so I'm gonna scrape that off. And now what we're left there is, well, a lot of schmutz, but it's ready for cleaning. Now this part takes a little bit more time, and I don't want to make a super long video in real time, so what I'm going to do is grab some of this wick here. We'll just cut off this end piece here. And we're going to try to clean up this disastrous mess here a little bit. So we put the wick on there. What we're trying to do is just, the solder that's on there, the solder, as it said, is corroded and crusty. And we just need to remove as much of the old stuff as possible because it's really difficult to solder onto it. Okay, so now I wish I could get closer, but without the magnifier, that's as good as we're gonna get. Most of the pad is clean there. You see how it's sort of shiny? There's still some black gunk on there though. And what I do is, depending on how crusty the pad is, it can be like almost entirely covered. I just scrape it away with the tweezers. And it just basically makes the pad clean. And then all this junk here, we'll clean that up with IPA in a second. So yeah, see the pad now, if you scrape away the black gunk, you don't want to scrape off the edge or from the edge onto the pad. It might break it off the board. But you just want to scrape on the pad. You want to get two nice clean pads like that, which is what we have. And if we spray some IPA on there now, and let's get something not too sharp. I've just lost my pick. There it is. We can use the IPA to kind of scrape away some of this gunk, this black gunk. That form, that's just a mix of the old corrosion from the capacitor stuff and the flux, I think. So we kind of clean that up a little bit. If we get something like a Q-tip or cotton swab, we can try to wipe it up. And there you go. See, it's coming off. It's looking a lot better. And you just clean it up like that. And you do need it to be clean because you're going to want to use a magnifier, a magnifying glass that is, to look at the traces that are underneath the cap. Because if you replace that cap and there's a bad trace that goes right underneath it, you're not going to be able to see it once the cap is on. So you need to double check that beforehand. So that's the whole idea here. So there we go. Those look pretty good, don't they? And let's grab the little magnifier. So I use one of these things here to just look at the board. Okay, this one doesn't even really, well, all right, let's see what I see actually. I see something that doesn't look super great. Switch camera views there. What I'm seeing, if I move this stuff out of the way, there's a little via that actually is, well, it's really hard for me to see without the loop. It's right there. And it's not focusing. It's right there. I have the tip of the tweezers. That's the via. And it's crusty, of course. And I don't know if the trace that's coming from here to there is actually connected to that. So I should be able to test that with my multimeter. So I just scraped it a little bit. And let's grab the multimeter and put it on continuity mode here. All right, so this is the kind of work you really want to do ahead of time. So that's the via that I'm suspicious of, and it goes to there. Okay, and it is connected. It's a little crusty, so I had to kind of push through the crust, so to speak. But yeah, that's it. It looks okay. Now, luckily, the cap I'm going to use, I think I have the right cap. It's not going to cover that. But if you use a normal surface mount cap, like the one that was on here, a little round electrolytic, it would cover that via. So just keep that in mind, that you just have to double check that there's good continuity under there. If a trace is running under there and it looks like it's corroded, you gotta fix it ahead of time. Otherwise, you're gonna have to be removing that at a future time. Let's move on to another Crustomatic area. We'll go over here to this area. So those two caps. So we're gonna do the same thing again. So I'm popped down a little bit. You know what? Let's try without flux, actually. I put a little tiny drop. Let's just try using the fresh solder here, as it said. Oh yeah, that came right off. Nice and easy. So that one's off. And of course, there's a little bit of flux. There's the other one. Does that show up on the camera? Maybe if I put my hand very carefully underneath it. See, it is just right there. That's the little leg that came off. There's less leakage over here, I would say. Okay, so you don't need to use flux, just use a fresh solder. And this is rosin core solder. So there's that leg. So in other words, it's already got a little flux in it, so you don't have to add any. Now I can smell like a fish smell, and that's because of that leaky caps. That's what happens exactly. Sorry, that's not in focus. So let's move on. I gotta move junk around on my bench because I gotta get this in the view of the camera. Okay, here's the next one. We'll just keep doing the same thing. I was thinking of just doing a jump cut, but you know what? Let's make this a long video and I'll just sort of talk. I'll just ramble on while I work on this. Okay, you know what? I just had a thought. The whole story I was just telling about the sim sockets, I am paranoid now, so I'm gonna grab some painter's tape and I'm putting tape over those because nope, I don't want this to end up with some crap inside there. That would be super annoying. I would be very upset. So we're gonna pop this on here like that and like that. just in case. I do not want solder in there. Nope. So let's watch to see if a blob ends up on the sim sockets. Well, that would be terrible, but awesome at the same time because that means my tape worked. Okay, that one came off, I think. So when you rub the iron across, it should be nice and smooth. Yep, feels good. Okay, so let's see. That's done. Those are done. Well, done as in I removed the legs. This one over here is cleaned up. It's easy to sometimes miss where they are. Okay, I'm gonna rotate this around. I know there's 3 here, and I think there's one. Oh, we got a little leg on the board there. Flick that off. Yeah, there was just a little leg there that probably came off something. All right, let's do these 2, and then I'll do those down there. So, like I said, you just get that off. There it is on the tip. Wipe that off. Smells like fish. Of course we know because there's lots of leakage, and that's even after all the washing. Now we'll do these. Come on, there we go. Don't want to exert too much sideways pressure, right? You want to try to melt it, and then it should just come right off. So there we go, that one's gone. Oh, very fishy over here, very fishy. Look at all that. The scraping didn't really do anything for the salt there, did it? That one's gone. Oops. Didn't come off with my little Brillo pad thing that's in my thing. Oh, no, it re-adhered. There we go. Okay. So those are good now. Let's see, where's next? Next, over here. So this is what it's all about if you're doing these recapping of things. Now, people ask me all the time if I can recap their boards for them. I do say no. And the reason why is, A, of course, making videos, super busy for me. The other thing is, though, is that mistakes can happen. And I really don't want to be responsible for damaging someone else's board. That's the truth, really. But actually, the truth really is I just don't have the time. That's the main thing. But otherwise, yeah, I also don't like to be responsible. And, you know, I just recommend... I'm sorry, can you see what I'm doing? Move that thing there. There we go. I recommend you just, you know, get a scrap board and give it a try. That's the easy thing to do. All right, these cleaned up really nice down here. Kind of gross though, because we got to hit it with the IPA. All right, moving on over here. Yeah, like I said, find yourself an old scrap board and give it a try. You know, if it works ahead of time, that's especially good. It doesn't have to be leaky caps either. You could just recap a board that isn't leaking. And if it's something junk and you don't care about it, well, that's all the better. Because if you do damage it, who cares, right? I mean, you know, don't want to like, you know, don't take some cool rare motherboard or whatever and use that as your test. But if you happen to have, I don't know, like spare CD-ROM drive or something, like those often have surface mount caps, and like, who cares, right? If it gets damaged. There we go. Now, from a technique perspective, you know, there are lots of tutorials, I'm sure, on the internet. And the way I do it is the way I do it. You don't have to do it my way. Those are done. Just checking my work here. That's done. That one's done. This one over here is done. Now, these two here. Anyways, like I was saying, you don't have to use... Oh, there's obviously alcohol here. Huh. Well, that's funny. Yeah, it was IPA, residual IPA. Kind of pulled out, sucked out of the board by the wick there. I could smell the IPA. You don't have to use my method of doing this. You could use anyone else's. You don't have to use the twist method if you don't want. As I said, this is my board, so I can do with it what I want. And this is how I like to do it because, as you're seeing, it's pretty quick. It doesn't even take that long. And that's what I like about it. It's a relatively efficient way of doing it. But personally, I also feel that it's low risk because it's, you know, the other way of doing it, when you're trying to desolder and the heat that you have to apply to try to get this corroded solder off, it's a lot. And because it's a lot, you risk damaging. These pads are glued onto the board, usually just glued on. They're not, I mean, there's not something special holding them on except glue. I gotta grab a couple cotton swabs there because I'm gonna start the old cleany here. So the fact that they're glued on means that you can upset the glue and, oh, by the way, this one here, it's got like 4 traces that run in between the pads. So this is what I was talking about, where you have to double check right beforehand that you don't have any corrosion there, because that would suck. Anyways, okay, I lost my train of thought. I was saying, I don't know, I think I was saying you could do this any way you like. You don't need to use my way of doing it. Just do it the way that works for you. And like, there's going to be people in the comment section to say that this will wreck the board, this, that, and the other thing. But you just witnessed it, that it doesn't wreck the board. And no, people that will say, oh, well, that's because it worked out in at this time. Well, I mean, either I'm the luckiest guy in the universe because I've done this so many times, and all the times I've done it, you know, I haven't had a problem, and maybe, you know, my time is due, and I'm gonna end up wrecking a board by lifting the traces, and it'll be so bad it'll be unrepairable. Oh, I forgot to even, I didn't even see that there was one over here, so I gotta get those legs off first. Anyways, as I was saying, like, I have done it the other way. Tried hot air. I tried the desoldering tweezers. I tried the regular tweezers, and it just did not work well for me. That way of doing it sucked. You had to put so much heat, because one of the things is, when the solder here starts to get corroded from the leaking electrolyte, it becomes very difficult to get heat into it. And, you know, when the body of the cap is there, then it sort of starts to absorb the heat and everything, and so just it becomes very hard, and you got to put a lot of heat on there just to get stuff off. And that's what I was talking about, that extra heat is where you could rip the pads off. But the twist method, you're pushing down and you're not pulling up on them, you're doing a twisting force. So if you think it's like a shear force, but you're actually applying pressure at the same time, so you're pushing down on the board, and for whatever reason, that method seems to work well. Okay, that one's done, that one's clean, that one's clean, these are clean. Just checking my work here. I'll still have to go do the verification of the that, you know, there's no corrosion underneath. So that is clean. Over here is good. This one was quite corroded over here. I'm gonna use a little IPA. I'm gonna use the cotton bud here, and I'm just gonna try to wipe up the salts a little bit that are on this chip. Seems to kind of help, actually. I haven't cleaned over here. Oh, I did. I did the desoldering. I removed the legs, but I have not. You know what? I got to clean that pad a little bit. There's just a little bit of like residual. I don't know if that's flux or a little of the old solder, so we got to get that off there. That's a no-no. Oh, I see what's going on. Yeah, it's the pad itself. Oh, there we go. It's clean now. Okay, forget it. Scratch that. Anyways, let's put the IPA, and I'm going to rub the salty area as well. Does that help? Does it actually help? I don't know. Maybe it helps. It's hard to tell because when it's wet, then it kind of like, the wetness kind of hides those salts that are there. I'm going to grab something else to try to clean in between those ram chips here. One of these things here, which is like a little flat cotton swab equivalent. It's also good for doing the board as well. See this? Can really kind of try to get that flux residue out of there. Yeah, so maybe that does clean up the salts a little bit. Does that little yellow part there look a little better? I guess it does. Yeah, all right. So there we go. Answered my own question about how to clean that. All right, let's keep moving through the board. Let's make sure the SIM sockets are covered. They are. I do not want to risk the damage that happened that one time. Just going to try to clean this some more. Okay. It's good on that side. Nice. The board's looking not bad. Not bad. This one is in really good shape. You know, this is actually not the first one of these I've had. I had another one, and the motherboard suffered catastrophic damage. So that became a scrap motherboard. And this one, on the other hand, has kind of lucked out. The corrosion is not so bad. All right. So when it comes to looking for bad traces, you know, I'm used to that because I've done it a lot. I've done a lot of this looking, and I know what it kind of looks like when they're looking bad. You kind of want to look for a trace where underneath the trace, or under the solder mask, it's like discolored or something's going on. Then if it looks suspicious, you'll need to use an engraver, which I had it sitting on my bench here. Here it is. This is an engraving tool here. It's like a miniature Dremel, basically. And this one's awesome, actually. It has like 3 speeds. And the cool thing about it is on the slow speed, watch this. This thing has like a torque control. So if you apply, so it actually like ramps up the power to try to keep the speed constant. So I really like this one. And it's USB-C, rechargeable, this, that, and the other thing. Anyways, you got to clear that solder mask off if you see anything that looks suspicious. If not, or like over here, I was able to check between 2 vias that were exposed on the board, and then that's a great way to tell that it's still connected. And then I am just gonna go over this and look for anything that looks bad. So I'll be right back. This will be a jump cut. Now, actually, I just checked too. What I want to reiterate is you also need to check that the pad itself is properly connected. Usually it goes to a trace, which may go to like a nearby via, or it goes like to a trace that goes somewhere else on the board. You need to make sure the pad itself is connected to the trace so it looks good. If you see any corrosion on that junction point, you may need to use like something like this to clear it off, and then maybe you can add a blob of solder on there, or you can find the trace going to wherever it goes, like a via, and then you might have to add a bodge wire. If the trace itself is ripped, you know, it does rip off, then, you know, it's not the end of the world. All you need to do is just like figure out where the trace goes and then put the cap on there and then add bodge wires. And, you know, if both traces are gone, you just have to add 2 bodge wires. If one trace is gone, you add 1 bodge wire. It sucks. You could try gluing these down. I've heard people trying to do that. Personally, I've never, well, since I've started doing the twist method, I've never had a lifted pad. And I mean, I've had boards that were in terrible shape, and still I was able to do them without a single pad lifting. So I don't know what that's like. And like my method of just scraping the pad, I've had where the pad is so corroded that it's like you can't put fresh solder on it. So I just scrape it down, and I suppose you could use this too. You have to be very careful. You just scrape it with a sharp tool until you get that gunk off of it, and then you expose some of the fresh metal, and then you're able to re-tin the pad, and that's what you need to be able to do. All right, well, this board looks frankly amazing. Very little damage that's on here. The pads look great, no issues. There was a little bit of gunk on this pad right here. Zoom in, wrong way, there we go. There was a tiny bit of gunk at the bottom of this pad. I just checked underneath it because it was covering one of the traces that runs by, so I just carefully scraped the gunk away with the tweezers here, and that revealed that the trace was perfect underneath it. The record for the number of traces that goes through between pads is this. There are 5 traces that run in between those 2 pads, but there's zero evidence of any corrosion there. So that looks fantastic, fantastic that is. The IPA plus the physical scrubbing with this stuff did seem to remove the salt on these parts, and that's awesome. And this board is literally looking almost brand new again. Now, sometimes the corrosion, if it were bad, and it's not in this case, but if it were, it can leak through this side onto this side of the board through the vias that are around the leaky caps. So you just have to double check if it's really bad. If you have bad areas, flip it over, inspect the same areas on the other side, just for any kind of damage you might have to repair. But because this board is in such good shape, because the caps, they had leaked, but I guess they hadn't leaked that badly or for that long, and I don't know what the difference is, why some are bad and some aren't. But this one, obviously, it was very minimal, the leakage. I'm not going to bother with any of that detailed backside looking. And that's easy to fix as well, if you do have leakage or damage there. Okay, so I'm going to go, and hopefully I got some of the caps to do this board. All right, so the caps that were on there, which I'll have to look at the picture. They were all 47 microfarads, but I have these but I think this is not high enough voltage. 6.3. The board, most likely those caps, most of them are going to be on 5-volt rails, although there'll be some over here by the power connector that are probably on 12. So that's not really enough leeway. Most of the time I use these caps, which are ceramic, 10 microfarad, 25 volts. These are non-polarized. I love these because these will never fail. Not really enough for this board. Could I get away with it? Probably. 100 microfarad, 10 volts. That's not going to work. Oh, here's some 22 microfarad, 16 volts. I may end up just using these on this board and calling it a day. I do have some electrolytics here that may fit the bill, but I don't really want to put electrolytics back on. I just hate putting electrolytics back on because we know they're going to leak again. 47 microfarad, 16 volts. Ceramics. All right. And there's a good amount of them in there, so perfect. Now, these are expensive, these types of caps. Luckily, someone gave these to me, so thank you very much to that person. I love these because, as I said, they're not polarized, so you don't even have to worry about that. And they'll last basically forever, and that rocks. Yeah, I forgot I had these. 47 UF, 16 volts. These are exactly the same. I mean, the same, they are the same value as what was on there. And then they're way smaller. So we pull this out a little bit. There it is. So these are very little. So they're going to be easy. I'll make it so you can see them a little better. They will be very easy to put on these pads. There will be a lot of space. So let me count up how many I need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Looks like I need 10 of them. I like to be careful when I cut these because if this starts to unravel like the plastic coating, then these all fall out. And they don't have markings on them, so there's really like no way to know. Oh, look, there's even a couple in the bag here. So we'll use those. There's 3 right here. They don't have markings, so it's not easy to tell once you've opened them, what they are. So that's why I prefer them not to be kind of flailing around. I'm just going to cut 3 off there to put back in the bag. Okay, so as I was saying, these are like designed for pick and place, right? They're in this tape reel. So we gotta peel the plastic back. This is scintillating video content, I know. Tilt those out. There we go. We have our little assortment. So this is just trash now. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to use flux. So heat this iron back up. It had gone to sleep. I'm going to apply flux to kind of in the middle of these pads, just a little dot in the middle. And the reason why is the flux, of course, helps the solder apply or stick to these fresh new capacitors, right? And you don't really have to worry about like tinning the pads ahead of time. You just put the flux down. So flux, flux. I forgot to do it right here. Flux, just a little bit in the middle. Flux there. Those are done. And this one's done here. Okay. Now we get the old tweezers. Get these solder ready. So I'm just going to put some on the tip there. This is where it's good to have this. I don't want a blob to fall down. Let's zoom in on one of these so you can kind of see what I'm doing. All right, here we go. So I grab these and I just sort of like, bloop, I just put it in there. And then we just hold it in place, hold it down to the board. Whoops. It's floating around here. Okay, let's grab it. These aren't the best tweezers. They're a bit worn out. Ah. All right, so I got solder on one side, so now I can just push it down in the middle just to make sure it's flat. There we go. We got a good bead there. I'm just going to put a little more on here. And then we do the same on this side. And the fact that that solder or the flux is on there, it just makes it like go, like kind of get sucked right up onto that capacitor. And there we go. It looks good. It looks good, good, good. And since there's already flux applied everywhere, I can just repeat. So let me get everything situated here so I can do a little more rapid fire here. Now, I haven't done that many recaps. People that have done a lot probably are so good at this. These caps are, the tweezers are sticky. So as I was saying, I think people who do this a lot are so good at this because, you know, practice makes perfect. I mean, I don't know if that's the right saying here, but it definitely helps. So that's why I said practice ahead of time. And we do that, and that looks great, just like that, just like that. And of course, the reason why I really like these ceramics is that you do not have to worry about polarization. It's just whichever way you want will work. There we go. That brown you're seeing on there, that is just the flux residue. No problemo. Anyways, like I was saying, that's the great thing about ceramics. They just work any which way. Plus, they don't fail. Oh, these stupid tweezers are so sticky. Part of the problem here is that the flux is very sticky here. I'm going to try to clean these off with some IPA because this is super annoying. This happens, this is, what am I saying here? I'm trying to say that these were sticky already. Last time I used them, this was happening. I wasn't soldering with flux either, and everything was sticking. So you just position it. And since these are so small, I don't even know, you can even see what I'm doing. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now you can see. Because they're so small, you have a lot of leeway. That's another great thing about these particular ceramics. But when you go look at the price of these, they're not cheap. And that's the negative. Ah, this one's crooked. Let's try to fix it. Ah, now it's way worse. Okay. There. It's a little better now. I mean, I'm not a perfectionist, so I don't really care that much. But on the other hand, I don't want it to be super ugly. Okay. Yeah, so I don't actually know like what these cost if you were to buy them. I gotta try to make room here so we can move into the view of the camera. There we go. Let's move this tape a little bit. Do not want any blobs to go into those sim sockets. What can happen is you're cleaning the tip and you're like soldering over here and you lift it up and a blob can drop off and then end up in the socket, and that's the disaster that you do not want. Okay, got to put some more fresh solder on the tip. Make sure you heat the pad and the capacitor because you want it to stick well on both sides. Like that. The flux really helps it kind of flow properly. Alrighty, that one looks good. Move over and do this other one that's in the shadow of the socket there. Now, I'm sure there will, like I said, there'll be lots and lots of comments about this process and how I'm doing it wrong or right or whatever. You know, there are people out there who do a lot of recapping, and, you know, they could feel free to put their method. But I think part of it is on the internet. You know, you always get armchair critics who have a lot to say, but don't necessarily have the experience. And I'm doing this on video right now. So if anyone watching thinks this is totally the wrong way, then feel free to make a video. And I know if you put a comment with a video link, it will not save. Like YouTube will delete that comment or whatever. I'm trying to fix this here because it's crooked. No, stay. Ugh. Okay, I'm going to zoom out a little bit here because this is becoming annoying here with this tape in the way. Let's try this again. There we go. Much better. Anyways, like I said, feel free to make a video. And if you do, email me, send it to me, and I'll put it in a comment or in the description. You're like, oh, check out this other capping tutorial. You know, I'm not exclusive to, you know, doing it my way, like I said. Okay, by the way, let's just double check my work quickly. Those are done. Let's make sure they're totally done. Yes, nice shiny solder. That one's good too. Same with that. That looks all right. Okay, we gotta do these ones down here. Let's see. I gotta move stuff around. These little caps are so small. I don't want to like knock them and then not be able to find them. It's annoying. This thing is like bent. Did I do that? Okay. Anyways, yeah, like I said, email me if you have a video and I'll put a link so people can watch that too. But yeah, if you put it in the comment, that's not going to work because YouTube basically won't let you put links in comments. That sucks. It's just the reality of it. And while we're talking about that, the comments and stuff, there is a high chance that you've made a comment on a video before and it didn't seem to be visible. And I can tell you one thing, that has happened for me too, on my own videos with my own comments. But I've also had it happen with my comments on other people's videos, and like stuff that was not controversial in any way, just didn't show up, or it was there and then it was gone later. Like, that's just a thing that happens. Unfortunately, YouTube is just super janky, and I found that there's kind of no way to prevent that stuff from happening. And I just like rotated the board, so I lost my, okay, over here. So yeah, it's not the creator who does that. This is a YouTube problem. And when that happens and the comment is invisible, there's not even a way for me, if it's on one of my videos, to even see those comments. Oh, I don't need another cap. They're already on here. I don't see the comments. They're just not there at all. Sorry, there's not enough solder on there. I'm saying it the Canadian way, and I am Canadian, but because I lived in the US for most of my life now, I mostly say it the US way. Solder. It's like S-O-D-D-E-R. The L is silent. That is just English for you. English is just dumb, where there's lots of words that just aren't pronounced properly in one dialect or another, or all dialects for that matter sometimes. You just clean up a little bit. That doesn't look super great, what I just did. Anyways, as I was saying about the comments, yeah, like I can't see the missing comments. They're just not there. They're just poof, gone. And maybe they'll arrive, they'll show up later. I don't know. And I don't know why it happens. Oh, sorry, you couldn't see what I was doing. Oh yeah, you could. I was just fixing that there. Okay, so that looks good. These are good. That is good. We're looking good there. We are looking good there and there. And what we're left with, okay, there's one down here by my thumb that I need to do, and there's that one there. Okay, good. And I have 2 left right here. We have 2 left, so let's do those. But yeah, YouTube just doesn't give the creators any visibility into that stuff at all, which is just sucky, and people get pissed. I've had some people write me emails, angry emails and stuff, like, why are you censoring my comments or deleting your comments? I don't really have time to like go and, you know, delete someone's, oh, you couldn't see what I was doing. Where was it? There, that's the one I just did one side of. Yeah, I mean, the only time I might delete a comment is if you're being extremely rude. And then I might, but even then, I mean, you know, I'm super busy. I don't have time to micromanage the comment section. Now, I do have some moderators. They have moderator ability on the channel, and they can go do that, but I don't think they do that either, unless there's like something really egregious happening. You know what? Sorry, I'm just taking a side quest here. This right here, that part looks crusty. So I'm gonna do the old clean, clean, clean there. There we go. Theoretically, by the way, you can use IPA and try to clean the flux. I don't always do that. I mean, the rosin core flux is, I mean, people are like, oh, it's corrosive, this, that, and the other thing. I mean, I don't know. I have stuff from the early 80s that's got it all over it because it was like hand soldered and it's perfectly fine. So I don't know. If you think rosin core is super corrosive, then let me know. And let me know why. And if you can cite some, don't just say it, but like actually put some citations in your comments. And I know it's like I just talked about, you can't really, I'm losing my train of thought here. You can't put links in the comments, but you can at least describe where you can go Google. You just say, oh, Google for blah, blah, blah. And here's an article about this. Oh, I'm going to turn the board like so. So we can do this one a little easier. It's next to this slot here. And anytime you're next to something that's tall, it can be a little annoying. All right, there we go. Yeah, just let people know how to Google for the article, including myself, because I'll be curious. Try to move that there. We're almost done, everyone. This is the last cap. This was the crusty one. The pad, that is. Don't love how that looks. Put a little more solder on there. I just want to see a nice, I don't know if the right word is bead, just a blob that, whoops, this just fell off. Oh, okay, this was on the bench, this tantalum. This was not one that's on this board, 68 microfarad. Nope, I dropped a couple of them out of the bag when I was, there's 2 there, or 3 there. Here's another one as well. Yeah, so that fell on the floor. Okay, I'm like completely all over the place with this video. Here's what I was trying to do. Trying to fix this one. I want a nicer bead there because this is the one that was extra crusty. Okay, that is all of them, everyone. That is everything. Now, what I'm going to do is we'll grab a couple of these little Q-tips here and we'll clean up some of the mess. Even though I just said that, the flux is not corrosive, I don't think. It's still nice to just make it a little cleaner in that area. How's that one looking? Yeah, it looks okay. I don't love that one. That was the one with the crust. There's ceramic caps over here. So Apple used ceramic caps, but maybe in the time when this was made, like 1990, well, let's look at the date codes. 93. That says, what does it say, 92? Not all these chips have date codes on them. Anyways, around 93 at least. Maybe they didn't have 47 microfarad ceramics. Maybe they weren't reliable enough. Like there's, I don't know. But why didn't Apple use them on everything? Was it just too expensive? Maybe they were just too costly, and this was like a cost-saving thing. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, to be honest, if it's just cost savings. Because as I mentioned, they're pretty expensive. We can take that off now. So we're done with the soldering iron. Let's get that IPA there. Oh, let me get the salt over here. Did I get this area here? I think I did. But we'll just do more. Squeak, squeak. Sorry, that's noisy in the microphone. All right, looks good, everyone. I'm pleased. Oh, I can see some of that salt here. Keep talking about that salt, like as if I know what I'm talking about. Just like it to look a little cleaner. All right. Goodbye, flux. What value is this crystal here? 19.75? Like 19 megahertz? 19.7? Is that what this thing really runs at? I mean, it's 25 megahertz or 20 megahertz processor, but is it run at 19? I don't know. That's kind of weird. All right, we got 2 caps here. Get the flux out of here. It's kind of hard to get in between the nooks and crannies, which is why these tall ones here are kind of cool, these little stick ones. Okay. Looks pretty good. I'll just show my work here a little better. There we go. Looks pretty good. Still a little bit of flux on there, but like I said, I'm not ultra concerned, but at least the corrosion is gone. And over here, this looks quite good as well. Fillets. Maybe it's a fillet. Is that what the blob of solder is called? A fillet? That looks pretty good. Down here, that looks quite nice. The white stuff is seemingly less, which I like. Okay, I did there. We have over here to do. So I'll just put a little IPA and keep scrubbing and scrubbing. All right, looks good. And now we're down at the bottom here. All right, I think that's it, everyone. I think this board is recapped and I blabbered on for most of the video. I don't love how this looks over here. I'm just gonna touch that with the soldering iron. Sorry, the left side of this one here just blech. Looks not great. I don't know why. Warm up. There we go. The thing was sleeping. I'm gonna rotate this. Yeah, I don't know. Just there we go. Okay, better. I think we're good. I think we are done. So the board, just get everything out from under it. That looks rad. Nice, recapped. Should last forever. I'll get some Deoxit here for these memory sticks. I'll just clean them because they obviously were right near these leaky caps. So they don't have gold on them. So what I like to do, whoops, too much. What I like to do is I just grab a little bit of this magic eraser, and you just rub that and see it kind of takes off a little bit of the oxide, I guess, or I don't know, whatever. I mean, maybe it does nothing, but I like to think it does something. So let's pop this in. Nice metal clips. Thank you very much, Apple, for that. So you cheaped out on the you cheaped out on the capacitors, but at least you put metal clips. All right, I don't even know what size these are. I guess we'll figure that out once the system boots up. I'm pretty sure I have more of these because they're just normal 72-pin memory modules. So we just make sure those are clipped in. There we go. Looking good, everyone. Looking good. This board should be good to go for the long run. Let me move this tape out of the way, move some junk out of the way. We can throw away these Q-tips here. Oh, I got to put the processor in, don't I? Here it is, the Motorola 68040. So I like how, even though there's paint on there, right there, but look how there's actually like a triangle sort of in the plastic. You see that? That's the equivalent of the notch, by the way. So this is looking good. These pins are in good shape, so we don't need to worry about those. So we just push this in. Boom. Looking good. There we go. Okay, time to test this thing out. Let me grab the bottom, which I should have cleaned, but I'll do that at another time off camera. I just wanted to make sure this motherboard is good to go and is not gonna die. Because yeah, this is pretty dusty in here. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, that's dirty. I put the hard drive back, which I don't know why I did that. So we'll slide this out here again. Make some room. There we go. All right. Oops. Why do I keep getting these stupid tantalums on here? I think I put my hand down on the bench. Yeah, and I like get it stuck on my palm and then it falls on the board. Okay, so we get this down in here like so. Like that, falls into place. Reconnect these wires. The disk drive is probably going to need service on this. I have a video on my main channel, I think, about doing that, servicing these Apple style disk drives. Okay. There we go, clip. This is the power LED, I think, or something. And where is that screw? Okay, here it is. We'll put the screw in. Looking for my screwdriver here. I lost it. Ah, here it is. So the way this works is you kind of have to like push the board up against the back, and that's because of the RF shielding that's on here. So that's what the screw is doing. I don't know. It would probably work fine without doing that, but I don't want to risk it in case there's like a potential for like a short circuit or something. So we're just going to screw this in. And that will hold it in place. We don't need to worry about that middle screw. All right. I think we're good to go. Should I get an adapter and plug it in? Let's just see if it actually makes that bong. Okay. Are we going to have a bong? Here we go, everyone. Did I ruin this computer or what? There we go. It bonged. The fan in here is noisy. So I'm going to turn this off. And I'm going to grab an adapter so we can plug a monitor in. Yes. This is one of those Mac monitor adapter things. Some of these have dip switches, like this one. And this one doesn't. And usually the one with dip switches have a little like label here to tell you how to use it. So I guess, I don't know, let's just try this one that has no sticker on it. Let's plug this in here. Plug this into my scan converter, which is where? Here it is. I was most recently using this on an Amiga, so should reconfigure itself though. It's what brand is this thing here? Extron. Pretty universal, works quite well. Thank you, Gravis Cathode Ray Dude, for suggesting that one to me. So are we getting the menu? Yes. All right, here we go. Need something to poke the power button here. Now, if we have no video immediately, it could well be the adapter. Usually if the Mac is unhappy because of like a problem, it gives you a sad sound. In fact, there's a little button on the back here we can push to hear the sad sound, but whatever. Oh, yes, all right. Okay, don't worry about the way it looks. That is this thing. It needs to be reset. Let me just quickly do that. In fact, I can just do auto image. That should do it. There we go. Nice. Oh, it's a little like, you know, there's dots, but that's not the computer. That is the scan converter. So don't worry about that. The little slight interference and stuff. This thing's freaking working. What we need to do is try to boot this thing. So there's no floppy drive connection. Let's just plug this hard drive back in. And let's see if there's anything on here that boots. I don't remember if we even heard it spin. SCSI cable is reconnected. Power is reconnected. Oh, I should get a mouse and keyboard, shouldn't I? All right, ADB mouse keyboard. Plug that in. Plug this in. I don't even know if this mouse works. I recently got this from someone and I haven't even tested it, but let's hope that it does. All right, power this on again. Click. Oh, the hard drive is spinning. I'm gonna need to open this power supply up. I'll do that off camera just to look for leaky caps and stuff, because like I said, early 90s Apple stuff, super leak-o-matic. I mean, it's not just them, everything does it. But gotta say, I have lots of PC motherboards with surface mount caps, same year as this, like Intel boards, They don't have any leaking. So, okay, mouse is working. Nice. I wish I could fix those little dots. Oh, hard drive's not working though. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. All right, so this thing did a weird thing where it's somehow trying to sample 1100 pixels, and almost certainly this is 640 by 480. So let's try to get this down to 640 by 480. I think the pixels should be like 800 or so. Let's see here if I can get this looking a lot better. So active should be 640 by 480, right? Because that's what we're actually looking at. There we go, 640. But then the total should be something like 900 typically. Wow, it's not letting me go any less than that. Why is that? Let's fix this. I don't know, I can't lower this down any further than 992. That doesn't make any sense, to be honest. Well, unfortunately, without being able to lower this down, we're not going to be able to get this looking correct. So that's very lame. I'm just going to have to go back to auto image, and I guess we'll have to deal with the little fringy thing that it's doing. All right, there is no floppy drive external connection, so I can't just plug in a floppy EMU. Do I have a working SCSI emulator here? Let's see. I really need to get a proper blue SCSI thing happening. I can't believe that I haven't yet done that, especially the new versions, which sound amazing. Let's see. This is the Mac System 6. I don't think that's going to work on this thing. Nope. So we are going to try to use a zip drive, because I think I have a System 7.5 on a zip disk, which should be time appropriate for this computer. All right, System 7.5.3 on the zip disk here. Pop this into the zip drive, which I have now connected to the back of the computer. Power this on. I might, you know what, I'm just gonna unplug this internal hard drive. Just leave it connected, I don't know. Don't know what's wrong with it. It does not make any weird noises, the internal hard drive. It sounds fine. So don't know why it's not even attempting to boot, unless there's something wrong with the SCSI controller on this computer, which is totally possible. I mean, that could be why this computer was, you know, retired years ago. Who really knows? But I should be able to tell if the zip drive is flashing. Oh, it's booting off the zip drive right now. Well, I don't see anything on the screen, but I saw the zip drive light blinking. Oh, there we go. I'm not 100% sure if this zip disk system is configured for the Mac, but guess we are looking good. Now, there we go. I was gonna say, the green tint that it's got, I think is the sync on green. It was kind of messing it up. Let's try the auto image right now while this is in the boot process here. Maybe this will work better. Let's see, did this do anything? Maybe whatever. Okay, it changed to 992, which is like what I was trying to change. I still can't go lower than that though. Very odd. I've definitely like seen this thing at 640 by 480 and it was working properly. All right, well, we'll let this thing boot up to the desktop and then I'll try to auto configure this again. User presets, input config, input type. What do we have here? Input type, YUV, auto, RGB. Well, let's just try auto. Maybe auto works better. Let's do this again. And let's look here. Nope, it's all screwy again. Anyways, we're booted though. Let's see what's on this zip disk here. First of all, how much RAM do we have on this thing? 36 megs. Okay, so 32 megabytes on the 2 memory modules, and there's onboard RAM, I guess 4 megabytes. That's pretty sweet. I don't know what the max this thing can support, but that's a good amount of memory. Now, what this thing does not have is video memory, but I'm quite sure if I look around in the basement here, I have some of those video memory modules that do go into here, if it's the same as the ones that go on like the classics and things like that. And I think what that would give us, if we go here, is more colors. Yeah, we're stuck at 640 by 480 right now at 256 colors. The problem is with this machine, it's only 20 megahertz. It would be slow to try to run more colors. Oh, look, we can even pick these other modes. Let's just try this one here. Maybe the scan converter will do a better job with this one. At least it's showing everything, right? Auto image. Oh yeah. Yeah, that looks better. At least we're seeing everything. It's not super sharp, but yeah, we'd probably get like 65,000 color, 16-bit color if we had the additional VRAM. Don't know what this thing's gotten it, but yeah. Anyways, cool. All right, so it looks good. Let's go to. I want to hear beeping. I want to hear sound. Let's hear some sound. I mean, we heard it chime, so we know the sound is working. I mean, this thing seems to be totally working. That's just awesome. Drop. Gotta do like 16-bit, well, 32-bit dance party. All right, anyways. What else can we do? We can try looking at what's happening with the SCSI drive. I think I got some utilities on here. So I like the zip disk drives for this exact reason. On these older Macs, it boots right up. It's super convenient, and I can put these disks, the zip disks that are in here, in my PC here, and image them and make, you know, I have a bunch of different system images and stuff. Silver lining. This is a hard drive utility here. Let's run this. Let's see if we can see this internal hard drive here. If I can, then I can copy stuff onto it. How long is this video? Oh, 1 hour and 9 minutes. Pretty long. No, this is not what we want. Select drive. I haven't used this in a while. There it is. Internal hard drive, 260. Maybe it's just blanked out. Like, that's not a bad thing. Let's do, I don't know, let's see what happens. This is you know, different Macs have different performance with these different modes here. This is what Silver Lining does at least. So it goes through a little test here to figure out which is the fastest. And when it installs the driver, this one doesn't seem to be working. Uh-oh, it froze the whole computer. Ah, lame. Have to reset it. I'm gonna push the reset button on the back here. I'm gonna attempt to at least. There we go. There's a little like button that pokes through the back, and there's an interrupt button as well. If I push the interrupt button, you get that. Now that's not like a problem with this Mac, just me pushing the interrupt button while it's in the boot phase. Totally normal. So I just hit the reset button there, but it's a way you can hear that unhappy Mac chime. If there was a problem with the RAM or something on the system board, you'd get that crash there. Yeah, so this thing seems to be working. Okay, well, you'll probably want to know if I get this hard drive working. So I will not talk for a moment, and I'll edit that part out, and I'll see if I can get this internal hard drive working. Okay, I said I wasn't going to talk, and this is what I see here. So I just picked the transfer rate that worked, not the one that crashed. And what is this stuff? Driver 43, driver 10K? There's like different partitions on here. Untitled, HFS. I mean, is this like, was this used for Unix or something? I don't know. It didn't boot, so it wasn't like it was working. I don't know. Let's just try this. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? It's going to, I have to erase it. Yeah, I don't know. Did this do anything? Oh, there it is. Untitled. Oh, there's stuff on it. Kind of nothing, though. Aldist Super Paint. Oh, wait, let's change the view here. View by name. System folder is on here. But we have Aldist Super Paint as the only thing on here, and there's no icon, so I don't think this whole thing is going to be working properly. But look, System 6 or 7.5. Is there anything even interesting on here? Extensions? Nah, this all just looks like run-of-the-mill stuff. SCSI manager's on here. Let's see, extensions disable. Let's just check. I like to check in here. Just maybe there's a cool thing that like is long lost and save it or whatever. I just copy it onto my zip disk. It's clickety clacketing away here. Of course, I'm not, well, like I kind of stopped using Macs around this time, 7.5-ish era. I never used System 8. You know, I've used it as in like played with a computer that had it, but I never owned a computer that had it. I could never afford any color Macintoshes that could run System 8. I got an Amiga. The last System 7 system I used that we had, or I had at home, was a Mac SE, and that was it. Like after that, I went to Amigas. Everything here looks pretty much stock. So, yep, okay. I'm just gonna erase this hard drive. There is nothing useful on here. And I will copy my zip disk onto it. So, in fact, I'm gonna use Silver Lining again to just completely blow away the partition table and get rid of all those weird driver partitions that we saw. And then I'll just copy the entire zip disk onto there. It's like a good base system so that this computer can at least boot when I go to turn it on, and then I can use it for my future endeavors. So I think the disk should be there. Yep, and it should be blank. So if we look in here, yep, blank. 256 megs available. Good, my 100 meg zip disk will fit on here. So we'll just copy all this stuff over here. And I have something called Disk Doubler on here, which should speed up the copy process, but the zip drives are very slow. So the bottleneck is going to be the zip disk itself. Yeah, look at this. It's talking about the like K per second. So it's going 300K per second. So it's not terrible, but the writing speed there on the hard drive is 800. So it's far faster than the slow zip disk. By the way, I meant to say copy doubler is installed, not disk doubler. Disk doubler is a disk compression tool to allow you to, save space on your hard drive. Copy doubler is this thing, which patches the OS to give you more information about what's actually happening, because the original Mac OS 7.5 we're on now didn't tell you like how much time remaining or the speed or any of that stuff. So I don't know if this thing speeds up the copy process at all, but at least it gives you additional information. And you can shrink this. Oh, well, you know what this does do, though, is you can actually switch. Well, it's grayed out. But, oh, yeah, you can do stuff in the background. Look at this. That's what this is all about. So I don't know why it sort of hides the Finder while it's copying. Maybe that's just a setting or something. But as you can see, it is still copying in the background while I can theoretically use the system. It's really slow, and if I like pull a menu down, it's like freezes the copy process. Like there's no true multitasking here. This is just like task switching. And yeah, the whole system is very sluggish now that this is actually copying. So, but it is funny, and I don't remember having this when I was a kid back in the 80s using Macs. I don't know when this tool came out. I found this on a computer, like one of the random Macs that I had here in the basement, and I've always kept it on my zip disks and everything. So this zip disk is now going to become the system on this computer. I'm not going to even bother with a fresh install. I did this fresh install myself, the one that's on the zip disk, 7.53, I think, and it's kind of the universal version of the system, which means it has all the various resources for all of the Macs that were out at the time, which is kind of nice. It means I could just boot this on pretty much anything. Like I think it works on a Mac Plus, maybe it does, but it's really, really slow. But anyways, yeah, it's really great because to install the system, all I literally do is just drag the files onto the hard drive, which is what we just did. And this is going to make a working system. And of course, it will be way faster than this zip drive once it's done, which it will be in less than a minute. There it is, finished. Finito. So we go view by name. Now, if we go to here and we go to startup disk, now there's no battery in this computer, so the settings are lost, but we should be able to pick the hard drive there. And what you can do, what is this weird system thing here? It's supposed to be something I was working on. Oh, that's the actual installer. Okay. So what you can do, here's the system folder on the hard drive, but if we view by icon and we clean up window, bloop, 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 bloop. Okay, so if the system folder has a little system icon, that means it's blessed, which means the system will boot from that. If it's not, if it's missing that, what you have to do is you go in here and you copy the system file out and back in again, and then that will make it behave like it's a system folder. I hope that makes sense. There's probably much better explanations out there. So rebooting, the zip disk is out of the system. There it is, it just ejected itself. And let's see it boot. And let's see how much faster it boots. Should be way quicker. I think this is faster, although it's not dramatically faster. This is not the best hard drive, and it is a noisy hard drive. So I definitely have some more SCSI drives. I'm gonna probably look around. Well, like I said, I should just stop using a hard drive and just switch to solid state with a blue SCSI. Just get rid of that dumb thing. But for now, it's worked this long. It's probably going to keep working. Let's let this finish booting up here. So there we go. Okay, yeah, it's got to rebuild the desktop file. So this is because the system is new. I copied everything onto it. It scans through all of the programs and stuff that are on here and the files. And anytime it like looks at a program that has an icon, it loads that into a little database called the desktop file, which essentially contains all the icons. So if a program like Microsoft Word has a bunch of icons for its documents, like you save a Word doc, then in that database, which is building right now, contains all those icons. So it knows, hey, this file belongs to Word, and this is the icon it should have. And this desktop process, anytime you change a system or make a new system, it has to do this. So because I've never booted off this hard drive, it never had a desktop file. The zip disk here has one on it, so that's why booting didn't make it do it. There's some key combo to make it do this if it gets corrupted or whatever on boot. But once it's done like it is there, it should be done, and it's a one-time thing. So let's go back to view by name. Now we can go into games, and I have a couple games on here. Let's look at Crystal Quest, my favorite. Now there's Crystal Crazy, I think it's called. I don't know, it's like a newer version of Crystal Quest. Oh yeah, it doesn't support running at high resolution. It's really designed to run on older Macs. So let's just go through here. Great game. Oh, I can make the volume louder. No, that's as loud as it gets? Oh, interesting. Gotta say, it's not behaving exactly like I expect. The mouse drivers from one computer to another vary slightly, so the way the thing moves is not consistent. And I have to say, like this mouse here, oh, I died because I wasn't paying attention. Let's just quit this. It's not exactly the same. That game I played a lot of when I was a kid. Anyhow, that is going to be it for this video. It was very rambly and very long, but hopefully people enjoyed it. A casual recap of a Macintosh Centris 610. The motherboard looks honestly as good as new. Since I was able to get rid of those little salts that were on there using the IPA and whatever, now after washing and new caps, it looks amazing. And you know what the best part? There's nothing left on this motherboard to leak. So this motherboard should last, you know, forever basically, whatever that means. But you know, until the chips start to fail, there's nothing to corrode it. It should be good as long as it's in a climate controlled environment. It should be excellent. The cap or the power supply in here, I do need to check out because I need to check for leaky caps, but it seems to be working fine. So I guess it'll be okay for now. But if there's anything bad in there, I'll replace those because I'd like this computer to work because it's a cool form factor and I kind of like it. I wish it was faster. If anyone knows how to overclock this thing, like can you run this faster? Let me know. I'm pretty sure I got some faster 68040s that I can put in here. But yeah, I like this and it will be perfect for that future project I need. And the only thing that I need to do, and the lid's way over there, is deal with that yellowing. It's kind of unsightly. So I guess some retro bright is needed, but it is autumn here in Oregon. We don't really have much sun until the summer again. So unless I come up with an indoor retro brighting process, which is difficult because I don't have a lot of space, then yeah, but maybe I should really look into that, to be honest. I know there's some like vapor brighting and some other systems that people use, so maybe I need to do that. Anyhow, that is it. If you like this video, thumbs up. If you didn't, you know what to do. I'm sure there'll be lots of angry comments, so feel free to check those out or put one of your own angry comments. I don't mind. It is what it is. I'm not going to filter them. I'll leave them there. All right, that is going to be it. So stay healthy, stay safe. Oh, wait, thanks for the patrons. Their names are scrolling up this side of the screen over here. Huge thanks to them. They let me do this full time. They literally support, I mean, this is my only job now, YouTube, doing these videos. So they support me. If the YouTube AdSense revenue is just not enough anymore, it's just gone down the toilet. I mean, it's funny, my videos get more views now and I have more subscribers now than I've ever had, and yet the AdSense revenue is less than it used to be. Weird how that works. Anyhow, Patreon covers the difference, so huge thanks to them. You can become a patron at the link in the description below. And yeah, that's going to be that. So stay healthy, stay safe. I'll see you next time. Bye.